Hello and happiest days to each of you folks. I hope you guys are having just an absolutely amazing day and that today's video finds you finding an incredibly great day today. And if not, then it will be by the time your day is over with. It'll just improve from here. So today I'm reviewing what James Lowder's Crusade. Here it is. I'll link to you in the comments below too. And that sort of thing. Alright, so basically, recently I've been doing a lot of reviews of some of these novels from the Forgotten Realms stuff. So basically what happens is I started off reading my first fantasy was my first favorite genre. I read Tolkien when I was a kid, his Hobbit, and then The Lord of the Rings, and that moved me to Anne McCaffrey, to Fred Saberhagen, and then eventually to R.A. Salvatore. So basically what happened was I started reading Mark Weiss's and Tracy Hickman's Chronicle of Dragonlances as it was getting published in the 80s. I was born in 76, so it's about when I was getting to a good place of reading longer novels and that sort of thing too. And then after that, I loved that, read it that deeply, and then I started to get introduced into the Forgotten Realms. I read the first one, Dark Walker on Moonshade with Douglas Niles, finished the Shangri-La series. I loved it lots. And then I started to read the R.A. Salvatore stuff, and loved his works. The Crystal Shard, he became my favorite author as soon as I finished it after Tolkien. And he became my favorite author for a long time, and would follow him to a variety to everything else, and that sort of a thing too, not just his Forgotten Realms stuff too. And when I recently moved after getting let go from my job, I actually had an entire box of just his stuff, right? And that sort of thing too. He's definitely somebody. And I go back and read that stuff occasionally too. I actually wrote the first 10 novels for this channel too a couple of years ago. The next one I read and loved was Spellfire by Ed Greenwood. He actually was the one who created the realms and sold it for a nominal fee. But with the idea that he'd be writing, and in the first book, they said to him, "Show us the realms," right? And so he did. Loved it lots. I read it, and I loved that one as a kid. But the problem is that the novel that he wrote, which really sort of laid it out there for, was a little longer than they were expecting, so they cut it down by like a third. They hashed it in pieces. So sometimes I go back to him because I think he has a certain je ne sais quoi, but I've recently gone back and read the expanded edition. That was his initial version, and I loved it lots for this too. And the sequel too. And then I've also will go back and read the Pool of Radiance trilogy too, based on the Phelan trilogy based on the video games. And that sort of thing too. And then after that, I typically wouldn't go back. So I recently went back and read a bunch of those just for the channel. And while I was in the mood to read Forgotten Realms stuff, I thought, why don't I just go ahead and start knocking out some of the other things that I read once. And the first one I read was the Avatar 5-book series, and that sort of thing. It was sold as this event series, and that sort of thing, but I didn't like how it was exactly. It had a great epic style and plots, the gods were, but unfortunately it just didn't feel as well written. And then I figured I would move to the Empire Trilogy while I was still in that mode for you folks. And then the Empire Trilogy certainly does have less of an epic feel. Again, it was published 1 year later in 1989, but it's much better written. Again, it's designed to be an epic thing. Here's the retelling of the Mongol invasion in our favorite world, Faerun, right? The Forgotten Realms. And that sort of thing too. Each of them different authors, each of them different perspectives and different stories, different characters, and set into different ones. So the first one, Horse Lords, David Cook, I read once, loved it. I went back and read it 8.5. This is an incredibly strong start. That's the one that's set in the Mongols. The King Yaman has just united them, and Koja comes in, love Koja, and that sort of thing too, as a pacifist ambassador to the Khans, Khan rather, and that sort of a thing. And two, loved him so much. I thought he was a great stuff. I thought he was a great introductory character to this series. I thought that Dragon Wall, the second book by Troy Denny, let us down a little bit. It's heavy. I mean, the combat scenes are great. When the combat stuff is on the line, it's on point, 8 out of 10. But the problem is that the political maneuverings of Shaolong, the medieval China, which actually is true to form. It actually did have a lot of political maneuverings, but it definitely left me feeling like my hand was in my hand. My head was in my hand. I was like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? I don't like that at all. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. So I rounded it out to a 7. I think this one is a better finale, and that sort of a thing. Great battles, great concepts here. Basically, what happenings in James Lowder's version. So basically, what's happening? This is set with the free kingdoms. King Azun has just heard some representatives from the places that are being attacked by the Khan people, Yaman and his people, the Tweegan. And they're attacking and raiding and that sort of thing too. And they've allied with the big bads. And so he decides to put together a coalition of people to do a perimeter strike. His kingdom of Cormyr, he's the king of, will put together a bunch of them. And then he meets with a bunch of people in the Dales, in Zambia, typically people that don't get along as well as Santolgi. And he'll put together a bunch of people that don't typically like each other or even like Cormyr. But he'll put together a coalition in some doors too. And put them together, and then he'll go out and fight the good fight for the people, the free willing kingdoms, the alliance, if you will, of the West, it's called. So he's going to go put that together. Go ahead out there and fight that. I definitely like the political maneuverings that are happening in the first part, and I definitely enjoyed how he was having issues, having them stay motivated too. I love that too. But what I didn't like was that this was like maybe 80% of that, like 20% battle. It didn't feel like it was. The battle's good, like it a lot. And that sort of thing too, but it just didn't feel like it was as strong an ending as I was hoping for, right? For all those reasons. That sort of thing too. So, but the battles were great, the combat was great, the characters were great. They added in and that sort of thing. But what they did to the main character, Batu, the Shaolin general, who will end up coming and joining the things, I actually feel it certainly made sense from their story level. But I definitely really liked him. And that sort of thing too. So I don't like that too. So I'm giving this a 7.5 out of 10 for those reasons. I want more combat. I want it to be less political drama and that sort of thing too. And then more of that. But I did like it. I thought it was good. I think it was a great ending. That James Lowder hits. Just wish there was probably another 40 or 50 pages, or just spent less than. It's about 10 hour read for you folks. So it didn't take the longest thing in the world for you folks. But there you are, 7.5 out of 10 for you folks. All better stuff than the Avatar Trilogy had on any of its. Well, actually, the Avatar series. The first 3 were written as a trilogy, and then the last 2. I don't think any of them stood up to even the middle one, which was my least favorite. Nobody stood up to it. All 3 of these are better written than all of those are by far, if you will. So there you are. That's the 3-book Empire Trilogy. Again, giving this a 7.5 out of 10 for you folks. It's a nice little finale for you folks. Not the best, not the worst, but I definitely found it. So the best 7.5, I think, is a fair rating. There you are. Have you read this? And if so, what did you think about it, right? Remember, I'm not somebody who was trained as a literary critic. I didn't study English in college either, right? So that means that your opinion is going to be just as valid as mine is, right? I don't come from a place of expertise, right? Or experience, right? I'm just a man like you are. So that means your opinions are just going to be as valid as mine. So I'm definitely interested in that sort of a thing too. So I try to do 3 of these older reviews a week in the 3 genres we cover: fantasy, science fiction, and horror. Just definitely older, a few decades ago, from 1990, and that sort of thing too. So check it out. And then I also do on Wednesday older video game reviews for you folks. I've done the Fallout series, Baldur's Gate stuff, Elden Ring. I've done a lot of video games and that sort of thing too. So check that out. I think you'll like that lots. On Saturday, I do something I call Serial Saturday, where I dedicate to the forgotten storytelling genres of movie serials like Tarzan, Dick Tracy, Zora, and that sort of thing too. That I've gone back and done reviews of and read for this channel, or things like the TV stuff too, like the first series of Doctor Who. So check that stuff out definitely. If that sounds like your cup of tea. On Monday, I do reviews of older R modules or wargaming and that sort of a thing too, right? And so I've done like 8 or 9 carry guys and that sort of thing too. So check that out too. Alrighty, for you folks. Alright, and those 7 older things a week, reviews of these older video games and novels or short stories too, right? I would sound like your cup of tea. then great. Welcome to the channel and have a seat. I think you'll enjoy your time here quite a bit while you're here. And while you're here, why not do all the YouTube stuff like hitting the subscribe button, the like button, the bell icon to be notified of the 7 videos a week, and then also, just share and like. But basically, share and watch. Those are the key ways of growing this channel for you folks. So great, love that lots. All right. As you can tell from all the 7 things, and even the title of this channel, that's where the passion comes from. The title comes from a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old stuff, right? And in our passion for the new novel, the new video game, the new movie, the new album, right? All this new stuff, we've sometimes forgotten that these things are standing on the shoulders of giants. So let's check out those giants, the heavily influential stuff, right? Not that they're bad, they're not, right? But you get that point. Alright, so there you are. And if you made it all the way to the end, I just want to thank you so very, very much for just taking some time out of your day and investing it, right? And watching my videos, because we all have so many things, right, that are happening in our lives. And we're pulled in so many different directions too, right? So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's incredibly humbling. And I appreciate that so very, very much. So thanks again and have an amazing day.